Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am your host, Saucy McFoodlefist, and today we are playing The Letter. In the last one, we rehashed the story about how Isabella died, and we're playing it from Rebecca's point of view. So, let's get started. A few hours afterwards, the whole place dissolves into chaos. Nameless people in white suits moving in and out of the room, fellow tenants crowding the nearby hallway to get a glimpse of whatever's inside. Paramedics and police officers trying to corral a growing group downstairs. At some point, nosy journalists have started flocking in, likely for a scoop, because it is a scoop. No matter how much I want all of them to stay away, to not look at her.
Not like this. That isn't how you should see her.
Not like this. Not like this. It's commotion. But amidst the ambulance's bright flashing lights, the murmurs of curious bystanders, barely any of it registers. Hell, I can hardly remember anything when my landlady pulls me out of the room. I don't feel her hand against my shoulders as she ushers me out. I don't hear her muttered reassurances. Is it a gentle touch of comfort? How does her voice sound? They all come out empty, each one of them failing hollow on my deafened ears, because she's gone. She's gone. Yet I can't bring myself to shed a single tear. Much as I will myself, no matter how much I repeat the words in my head, none of it will come out.
What's wrong with me?
You know, I really should be narrating this in like a more somber tone, but like, I'm not. I don't know. We're friends, aren't we? I should be crying. If not, I should be angry at whoever did this to her. Anything. Anything better than this cold, empty feeling at the bottom of my stomach. I feel you, Rebecca. I feel you. Anything better than standing around here like a useless numpty that I am, watching all these people zip and examine her like she's some other victim.
Female, around 20 to 25 years old.
Distant.
Time of death must be less than 5 or 6 hours ago.
Impersonal.
Cause, still unknown.
Look, she looked like she got ripped apart by like a meat grinder. Everything about her now broken down to ruthless statistics. That's a hard word to say. Statistics. She has a name, damn it. Her name is Isabella. She has friends here. She has a family waiting for her back home. Her family's kind of like, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to get into what Isabella's family's life was like, but someone please.
Crime scene?
Second floor, sir. Just upstairs. Second room after the stairs.
Ashton?
Hold on a sec. Did you say second room after the stairs?
Exactly what I said, sir. CSM should be there to brief you further on the scene. But, if I may, Inspector, you really don't want to see the body right now. Inspector Abigail had to excuse herself for a while after, you know.
I'll be the judge of that. Thanks.
His voice drifting from the stairs below falls like a splash of cold water on me. Somehow, at the familiar tone of it, the world that has suddenly tilted sideways has righted itself. Every color, every sound rushes back in, and my head immediately snaps up in search of him. Another officer stops him from reaching the floor, but a quick show of his badge is enough for them to allow him in. That's a fancy-looking badge. He doesn't waste any time. Ash quickly makes a beeline for the room and passes by where I'm standing without so much as a glance. He doesn't seem to have noticed me. His steps are even and sure as he walks by, his jaw clenched in a tight line, a complete departure from the easygoing air he gives off when he's with us. Like this, it's hard to think of that. It's hard to think of that Ashton and the one that... Like this, it's hard to think of that Ashton and the one in front of me as the same person. But a worried crease is on his forehead, a stiffness on the lines of his shoulders. And I know the moment that expression is on him, that the news should just not come from the crime scene manager. I should say something. I need to say something. Call out to him. Stop him. Because more than anyone, he shouldn't be the one taking on this case. He may be someone who will understand how I feel about this, who knew that the kind of person Isabella was. But will he be able to go at this with the same passive indifference his associates have? Of course, I never doubt his capability. That's a given, and he's already proven that more than once. But this, is anyone else with the police sirens giving them like PTSD? Because I feel like the cops are like after me right now, hearing these sirens. Anyway, this may not be easy for him. What should I do? How should I even put it? I'll tell him. I was the one who found her, the one who first saw her. Telling the rest of the group should at least be my responsibility, lessen the blow for them as much as I can. Otherwise, they'd simply hear it from the news, delivered in some uncaring manner, as if she's never been a huge part of our lives these past few years. I'd like to save them, save him from that pain.
Ashton, wait!
Ashton stops dead in his tracks, turns, his word expression dissolving into confusion.
Rebecca? I thought they... Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm good. But Ashton, in that room...
The words refuse to form. Sorry, I kind of cut off the dialogue there. I'm rushing through this a little bit. I'm sorry. My mouth opens and closes, yet even with my earlier resolve and will to force them out, they still don't. All of them still lost in a haze of gory images and the acrid tang of blood. I shouldn't have assumed this would be easier. Shame fills me, especially with the tiny glimmer of hope he carries in his eyes, the searching look on him, as if he's expecting to hear good news from me. A desperate prayer for his assumptions to be wrong. It pains me I couldn't bring him that, and I can only look away.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
His expression doesn't fade away like I surmised, however. There's an effort in him to keep the atmosphere light despite the shadow of death surrounding us. Slowly, he reaches up to me and gives my shoulders a squeeze, light as it can be, a tiny effort to raise my spirits and perhaps even his own.
Don't. This is no one's fault. Just stay here. Let me look at the situation. It couldn't have been her. Autopsy might reveal something different. Who knows?
Ash, I was in there. I saw her with my own eyes, and I'm sure it's...
Becca, like I said, I'll look at the situation. Stay here. I'll be back.
His tone leaves no room for argument. I see the moment he tucks it all away, his apprehension, the growing anxiety in his stomach, even the part of himself he showed us so openly before. The friendly, easygoing Ash. He hides it all, builds an even thicker wall around it. Thicker wall. He crosses the police tape without looking back and walks into the room an entirely different person. And from my place in the doorway, I witness all of it. However, he never flinches nor gags at the smell of blood. How he studies and takes everything in with a straight face. How his voice drifts from inside the room every time he asks a question in a tone even and collected. How he checks the victim's, Isabella's lifeless body without batting an eye, going about his work as if nothing ever happened at all. As if this isn't somebody he knew personally.
Doesn't this faze you at all?
Before long, Ashton goes back to the hallway, still with the same impassive look on him. He waves someone over. Another officer, forensics, paramedic. After witnessing that, everything has become a daze for me. The next thing I know, someone's draping a blanket over my shoulders, just like in the movies, Rebecca, just like in the movies.
Make sure she's okay and calm enough before they start taking her statement.
I don't protest when the medic starts leading me down the stairs, speaking in such hushed tones about an ambulance, though I don't understand much from it. But there's a thump. Muffled, dull. Enough for me to miss it when I have not looked back. and the sight of it greets me upon doing so is what leaves a mark in my memory before descending down the stairs. There, Ashton stands with his back turned away, his shoulders shaking, a fist clenched firmly against the wall. Clutched tightly on the other hand is his phone, red, old by today's standards, Isabella's. And from its speakers rings the last message she probably never bothered to listen to, as well as a familiar voice.
Okay, listen. I personally know the guy. He might be able to help. I can easily get in touch with him if you want, so...
I thought we all agreed there'd be no work calls tonight. Pay up, Ash. That pizza fund box needs some cash.
Sorry, just a sec, Becca. Hey, I gotta go. If you get this message, just let me know, okay? I'll free my sketch if you want to check with him. No fees attached. I promise. Bye.
And just like that, I have my answer. Does this phase him? No. He's worked plenty of cases before this one. He's got almost a decade of experience on that. Nothing's new in seeing and dealing with a dead body for him. But it hurts him. Hold on just 1 second, everybody. This hurts him more than anything. Things are less busy when the paramedic guides me downstairs. By this time, the entire flat has been sealed off from the outsiders, through a considerable number of people has already flocked in front of the building. Reporters, gossips, onlookers. The size of them will probably grow until the important-looking officers clear out from the area. Joy of joys. On the far side of the parking lot, a few officers interview some of the tenants, particularly the ones living closer to us. Some of them offer me pitying looks when I pass by, all of which I do my best to ignore. I don't need them. Even the sympathetic smile the medic shoots my way, I return with less enthusiasm. She is, however, kind enough to escort me to get whatever I need. The investigators will be closing off the premises while the forensics gather evidence, she informs me. And all of the things that cross my mind first.
My mail.
Instead of any basic necessities someone in their right mind would think of first. Ridiculous. Yet she doesn't say anything, simply nods and tells me to lead the way. For that, I'm grateful. Sometimes the silence is enough, and sometimes familiar sounds are enough. Even something as simple as the creaking of an old mailbox, once I pull its lid down and the shuffling of paper against my fingers as I go through today's mail.
Bills, brochures, a letter for Mom and Dad. I should probably call them, let them know.
That's a lot of cool looking mail, not gonna lie.
And another one of Isabella's mail wound up in my mailbox. I should probably give this.
My hand tenses, fingers lightly tracing the name, her name, printed in bold letters at the top left area of the envelope. You know, here's the thing, okay? This is, the 4th or 5th chapter of the game that I've played already. So, and this is the 3rd time we've gone through Isabella's death. So, hearing Rebecca go through, the emotions of Isabella dying, it just doesn't affect me because this is the 3rd time as the person who's playing this game that I've already gone through it. You know what I mean? So, it's not as impactful as it was at least the 1st or 2nd time. The 1st time, it was super impactful, and the 2nd time, definitely less so, and the 3rd time, it's I just don't really care. But anyway, that's just my little brief review. I might do a review of this game after I'm done playing it, but we'll see. This will never reach her now. She'll never be able to read this now. A breathless chuckle, a ragged breath, a trembling hand over my mouth. Then, for the first time tonight, tears well up from deep within. She's gone. October 25th, Tuesday. The following morning arrives unlike another day before it. glaringly bright and clear, unlike any other day before it, glaringly bright and clear. The fact that it comes with an extra helping of the unusual October weather doesn't help either. Although I appreciate catching a glimpse of the unclouded sky after last week's bout of sickness, the sun is simply shining a little too much today. Considering how the world has completely tilted on its axis last night, too warm, too cheerful, a stark reminder of her, of the kind of person she is. She was.
That'll take some getting used to.
Yup. Everything. If you've ever had someone that you love pass away, you'll know that saying is and was is a huge thing when it comes to whether, it takes getting used to. And I won't go any further into that, but let's continue. Everything will take some getting used to. Maybe it might have helped more if her name isn't already on every imaginable local broadsheet and news program, if everything around me doesn't evoke a memory or two. But that isn't how this usually works, does it? Easing into these thoughts, learning to go through a day without an entire person that was always used to be there. 5 years may be fleeting, but it's enough time for someone to grow on you, enough time for them to be a significant part of anyone's lives. And it's not just mine, but Ashton's and Zachary's as well. Bloody hell. Okay, so we're going back to the scene where Zach punched Ashton, I guess. A fist fight almost broke out between those two just because of this whole thing. Neither was at fault, of course. The emotions were high at the time. I kind of blame Zach, to be honest. He's the one who did it. Don't try to act like it's not his fault. He's in control of his actions. They seem to still be speaking on speaking terms when I left, but
I wonder if those two are going to be okay.
I suppose this is all part of the coping thing. A mess happens, we are left to kick up the pieces after, and not everything is going to be pleasant. It's always about it's always about making do of what you have, and if that means getting stuck staying at an inn while the police finish off their investigation, well, there's nothing I can do about that now. Luckily, the nearby cafe's manager is also kind enough to offer me a space where I can temporarily put the sudden mess that that is my life in proper order. Ah, the old cafe, Zarbuck's Coffee House. I've been sitting here for a few hours now. The manager gave me the table at the far end of the corner of the shop. At the far end corner of the shop. And for the most part, I was left alone. She might have something to do about that as well, which I am also thankful for. Were it not for her, what's left of my morning and the rest of my afternoon might not have gone as uneventful as it did. By sunset, I've already downed a few cups of coffee. Informed St. Coretti I'll be taking a leave of absence today and finish much of the tasks I've got scheduled today. Still pretty productive when everything's taken into account. All that's left for me is to deal with is the mail, specifically the letter addressed to Mum and Mum and Da, and the call I have to make because of it. I've been ignoring it the whole day, putting it off for one reason or another. What if you open this piece of mail and it's the letter that says, "Help me"? Oh my god, that would be so cool. I don't know if that's the case, but worried, afraid of what they'll hear in my voice after last night. Of course, it's not like I'm going to be caught in situations like this or having to deliver news while feeling under the weather. This isn't the first time, after all. Over the years, this has become sort of a tradition because their time in the academy naturally brought with it connections? Academy? I don't know. People from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. Along with its rare occasional invitations to parties or some gatherings. This one, though, gives off a much personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who have grown fond of my parents, and they, in turn, treat like children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most of them moved on because of their successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this are ways of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mom and Da are proud of, rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. There are times I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here. What the hell is she talking about? The real one. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provided for me. Are we talking about, like, Isabella's parents? Are we talking about Rebecca's parents? What are we talking about? This is where this game kind of loses my interest in me, like, the end of Marianne's story. Like, that whole last half hour of her story, I completely just, like, blanked it. And I'm, like, blanking shit that's going on right now. Like, I'm completely confused. But, like, whatever. They did, and I wouldn't be here now if it weren't for their hard work. So I guess we're talking about Rebecca's parents. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's a small thing, like letting them know that they've got another meal waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mom, her voice as warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that mail arrived for you. I got it last night, but things happened.
A lie. Thankfully she didn't notice, or doesn't notice. Although, if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it, but I put down the idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hana?
Oh, Hana. I haven't spoke about her in a while. The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. There are a lot of Hanas in the world, so who knows? Well, there are definitely a lot of Hanas whenever you play games with visual novels that are visual novel games. There's always a Hana for some reason, I don't know why.
Hana.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion. And that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
It makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been together as a family, and if there's one thing that hasn't changed from my childhood, it's that Mum and Da are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away from some meeting or symposium, sometimes for months on end, away on some meeting or symposium. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hana. Hana Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca.
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
I let that slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mum's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing, doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule.
Schedule?
It's alright. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Yes, the blossoming romance between Ashton and Becca.
Mum! That's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring
Isabella with me, is what I'd say. What I've gotten into the habit of saying recently. Turns out I'm going to have to grow out of that sooner than expected. Hastily, I correct myself before they note anything amiss in my tone.
I can always go alone. I'm a big girl now. I can handle these things. This isn't too much of a big deal.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hana for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends.
What?
Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those things where we only talked about it a bit before going our ways. And if she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only few people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton and Mandy. Ooh, who's Mandy? To some extent. Mum must have sensed my confusion because she laughs.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling.
Hold on just one second, people. Alright, we're back.
Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one, tender and always light on my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is the part of her that I love most. Love the most. The sound of it still echoes, even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago. When life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. Soon, I'm leaning forward on the table, cushioning my head against my arms and closing my eyes. The last sound I hear is the news, the same headline from this morning.
The authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death. Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
That's because people who sell houses don't have souls. Before I drift off to sleep, she's fallen asleep in the coffee house. Something reeks. Sounds like my apartment. A heavy, festering scent clinging to the air, wrapping itself around me like a little tendrils I'm unable to shake off. Like fingers curling around my neck, twisting, winding. I can almost taste it in my mouth. At my feet, water laps against my ankles, and every step, every ripple created, the stench only grows stronger. But I push on, pulled further by an indistinct voice in the distance.
No, I'm not at the office. Ugh, never mind. We're not safe. Not anywhere.
The clutter that greets me is familiar. You know, the only one in this game who was completely sane was Isabella, and she's dead. And no one believed her because everyone thought she was crazy, and look what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Look what happened. The empty noodle cups stacked on one end, yet to be disposed for some mundane reason. The pile of clothes to be pressed and folded. She'll get to it later, she promised. Files and papers strewn about the limited space she has, all because she needs to take her work home sometimes.
You didn't see what's in her room. That's not something another human being would do.
That's an interesting
Come
statement.
on, Rebecca. You have to believe me this time.
It's stronger here. The smell. More suffocating, more invading. But there, at the far corner, she sits, bent over the mess littering the top of her work desk, nose almost touching the papers on it. I call out to her. Once, twice. My voice only brimming with anger and frustration.
You're still not going to believe me. Even if someone else already died, no?
She does not respond. Something heavy lodges itself into my throat. The sound of my heartbeat thrashes against my ears. With a trembling hand, I reach for her shoulder, and as gently as I can, I turn her around.
No, I'm sorry. Wake up, please. Wake up.
It's freaky, man. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of take back what I said earlier about her death not being as impactful as it was before. And alright, we are going to end off the episode here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, or don't, I don't care. And I'll see you all in the next one. And goodbye everyone.